Roll call.
Okay, John Nicholson,
Yes.
David Valley,
Here.
Bill Palin,
Here.
Tom Wilson, and we're waiting on Marvin.
And Marvin. Visitors. You gotta take your turn.
We're all here.
You trying to get out? You wanna get out of here? early?
Oh, no, not at all.
Are we live?
Why you don't
Just get right into claims. Now, you're the new boy. I'm going to rotate it around until you get in the habit, but I'll give Dave, here's the animal control claims. Have Dave read them off. Bill is the official checker off and hand that sheet to Bill. And essentially, we'll just listen to if you have questions on any of them.
First one for Lee County Animal Control, for the amount of $125.
Time for registration.
Yeah, it's for Illinois Animal Welfare Federation payment receipts. So receipts are with the next is Illinois Department of Agriculture for $100.
Facility license.
For Verizon for $98.78.
I've got Johnson Oil and Windy City, and that. Johnson Oil would be the next one. Oh, pardon me, they're blank. Let's just put in there for.
Okay, Verizon for $98.78.
You are correct.
Republic Services for $42.77. For Kelly's Deacon for $107.50.
For kennel care.
Direct Energy, $287.25. That's all I have.
Total, $761.30. We got pet population. Here's the sheet for Bill. There's a couple claims here.
The next is Lee County Pet Population. First claim for $1,550.
Yeah. Pet population vouchers. And the total is $1,550.
These are veterinary bills.
Coming out of animal control also. Carrie's not here, by the way, she's on vacation, I believe, somewhere to pass them around, and there was some substantial capital improvement down there at the animal control building, basically in the kennels. There's new kennels are there, there's some fencing, there's gates, there's a pad outdoors for the animals, and eventually there'll be guillotine doors that let them out. But I have 3 three capital project claims coming out of animal control. So we need to read them off. There's that, and then there's this.
These are pretty impressive.
I think it's gonna be a long-term good improvement.
Becky sent these.
Yeah, some of them, did you send them to everybody? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were out on the internet.
Tell you, it's quite an improvement from 28 years ago when I was in animal control, where we had our pound in a corner of an accessory building on a farm. Such an improvement, and I really got to hand it to you guys for getting her that far along. Yeah.
You get a chance, I mean, I know they're just dog kennels, but still, they're just nice dogs.
They're done right and this
They're
is,
done right.
my son and stuff, but you know, I always question what's animal control and what's animal care? How much animal care do we have to give? And is this the bus fundamentally priced for animal care? We care for the few animals we do.
It used to be dirt floors and bottles of bleach.
Yeah,
So
but-
we've come a long way. Very humane.
Privatized compared to in-house. This is my son's question, and he goes like, what kind of a finance system could do that?
State
He has,
guideline finances.
yeah. Okay, the next is Lee County Animal Control through US Bank with receipts. And you said this is for the
That's out of capital projects and
capital
that's
project.
part of the gates. I think you'll see gates on there.
Panels, gates,
Panel gates.
chain link panels.
Have you been down to see our animal?
For $1,824.34.
You get a chance to go down to the Reagan Transit.
Next is for Sherwood-Williams. For $763.35. Next, Ace Hardware for $83.40.
Total $2,671.09.
Looks great as far as we're getting all this stuff together.
Yeah, I encourage them.
Paper clips just stuck together.
Kind of lay eyes on it. Takes.
We show them how to do business.
Then we got the maintenance claims, and that's, Greg spends the most money, so.
Hey, John,
That's for sure.
can we approve claims before I forget about it? Or not
We
claims?
didn't approve minutes from
Minutes.
previous meetings.
Oh, I'm sorry. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last month that Becky sent you?
I didn't see.
Any corrections or additions?
No.
And then they'll stand approved as read, so. Thanks, Becky, sorry.
Oh. Greg's at it again.
Direct energy for electricity charges for the new jail, 4th Street, old jail, old courthouse, old jail. Let's see. New courts, new tower. For a total amount of $12,028.38. Next for Home Depot Pro for $140.22. For alarm detection systems, $167.48. Is this an ongoing monthly thing that they do, Greg?
It's different contracts that they have. We have several different buildings that, and of course, they're not all on one same month when they come due.
Yeah. Next for Aramark for $86.06. Two stuck together, yes. Home Depot Pro again for $33.36. Tough crowd. Sherwin-Williams for $346.54. Home Depot Pro for $41.24. For Windy City Energy for $2,957.54. For Home Depot Pro, again, $59.08. Nicor for the old jail for $56.88. Aramark again for $259.69. Home Depot Pro for $1,104.99. US Bank with receipts included for a total of $2,173.79. Dixon Water Department for a total of $1,148.80. For Ace Hardware for $770.21. For Home Depot Pro for $1,253.06. For Home Depot Pro, again, for $94.95. For the Illinois Office of State Fire Marshal, Division of Elevator Safety, Elevator Inspections, $450. You have a note on this one about needing the vendor number?
Yeah, Jerry Ann was gone. She won't be back. Isn't back till today, so I left the sticky note so they can get the vendor number on there.
Okay.
I couldn't find it on my list and Penny couldn't either.
For Napa for $56.49. Johnson Oil, $374.46. Aramark for $215.57. All I got.
Greg, the last two on the list, for me here where Johnson, for the gas and supplies, you had it whited out. Are those two figures included in the total? 7446.
Yeah, what they did is they didn't deduct I had made it out and then I went back and searched and they didn't deduct last month's payment off. So then I whited it out and did this. That's the right amount, 374.46. 215.57 for Aramark, yes. Yes,
Aramark bill here.
you have a separate one for Aramark, don't you?
I have the Aramark one,
Okay.
but I don't,
But
you're,
it wasn't included in the sheet here. There are two blanks.
Oh, okay.
All right, so total then is $23,818.79.
Yep.
No planning commission claims,
nothing?
got a few zoning claims. There was nothing from planning.
This is for
Zoning.
zoning versus for Quill office supplies for $201.65. Sauk Valley Media for $69.60. For SPM for $87. For US Bank, total for postage. That you don't have the cover sheet, just, but you want red for $14. Upside down. Nope. It was upside. It doesn't take much to throw me off. $14 for US Bank for mailing.
And we have a total of $372.25.
Read the backside.
There's no capital improvement, repair, or replacement claims. Couple of insurance claims. Actually, there's one you want me to read on.
Go ahead.
This is just the Sauk Valley Insurance for bonds for $102.12. Notary stamp and bond for Eddie Stewart.
Okay.
Your initial is
Guys. Yeah, would you do that? Just separation of duties. You got lots of claims there.
I do.
So we're talking, start out with the capital improvement claims. You got them, or you got just all regular claims?
Talk to Greg. All regular.
That one's just Greyhound.
But Tom, yeah, he got two sheets. Would Tom like to follow along and see what's going on?
Greg's our biggest spender now.
Yeah, he blows money like crazy.
The other Greg.
Greg,
I knew which one you're talking about.
can't afford another Greg.
Yeah.
Both about the same when it comes to money.
Okay, first claim for Ace Hardware. This is lots for $426.39. Yeah. The next is vendor is Alpha Card for $1,198. Next is for alarm detection systems for $931.62. Capital's Complete Car Care for $39. For a Culligan for $30.86. For DC Computers, $1,538.97. For Direct Energy, $715.65. Effect TV for $2,074.30. For Imprint for $276.87. For Foxter Solutions for $1,350. For Home Depot Pro Institutional for $32.59. Hughes Services for $42,120.23. For Leaf for $211.14. For Lee County Treasurer for $920 even. Another one to Lee County Treasurer for $374. Midwest Transit Equipment for $172.83. The next one is accumulation of the two bills on the top of the first page and the lots. The lots account number is $11,542.06. And then on the first page, there's on the top of the first page bill.
Top of the first.
Yeah. It's two bills, one of them for 22, 188.92, and one for 15, 459.28.
Right.
Okay. The accumulation of all three of those for Morningstar Media.
You want a total on those?
I don't have a separate total on them. I got
Separate total on these two is $37,648.20.
Yeah. And then with the other one, the total accumulated here is for, with the 11,542.06, the total for Morningstar Media Group is $49,190.26. You don't, yeah, that's, that, you don't. It's a,
That's like.
they have them together.
Oh,
So
together, what? You got a figure of 42,000?
49. The first one was 20 cents, you said 20.
Morningstar Media Group?
Yeah, the first two,
Yeah, the first one was 22,188.92.
right?
And second one was 15,459.28
Correct.
for 37,648.20. Yeah.
Because they're Greyhound expenses, and
Greyhound.
that's right.
advertisement.
And then the other one is 115206. So they're all listed,
11,542.
11,54206, correct. Which the total they paid to Morningstar,
Okay.
it'd be helpful, maybe keep them divided up.
Morningstar Media.
Yeah. Next is Napa for $1,210.23. Pest control for $55. Penny printing for $159. For Republic Services for $209.34. For RC Service, Betts Auto for $72. Against Lee County for 100, Rochelle Rotary Club. Rochelle Rotary Club for 100. Sauk Valley Area Chamber of Commerce for 100. Sauk Valley Media for 400. Schmidt Plumbing and Heating for $508.85. Toyota Financial Services for $367.17. For US Bank, we have different accounts and all the receipts for a total of $2,414.18. For Verizon Wireless for $2,858.07. For WEX for $13,493.23. For Wind City Energy for $214.56. For WRHL WYOT Radio for $285. For WIXM WRCV Radio WSEY for $1,220.
So now we got lots claims at 87,621.14. Down $37,648.20.
Much was a Greyhound.
Greyhound is $37,648.20. And total claims, $125,269.34.
Yeah,
I was advertising.
put him on a tight
I
leash.
just took the business, huh?
Put him on a tight leash.
Yeah. Reports.
There were no capital improvement claims for you. Okay. Need a motion to pay the claim.
Almost.
So be. Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There's a spot at the bottom. Pass you on this way. My signature's already there, but just need to sign your name. Then we'll go on with department head reports. Greg.
Yeah, I just only have a few things. We finished painting the dog kennels and installing the pen doors, which you've seen in the pictures. So we have that completed now. Our next phase is to start putting the fencing and guillotine doors in the back side of it for the external part of the dog kennel. We was busy freshening up the old conference room since we're not using it very much right now. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to throw a paint job on that. And we put new ceiling tile and some LED lighting in there.
All of what you did with the place.
So if you want to take a look at that and see how we did. And the only other thing we're doing right now is we're still messing with the control system, waiting for the new system to be pulled in. And we're going around and washing all the condensing units right now for the air conditioning units because of the cottonwood silt that we have around here. So we're getting that all cleaned off. And usually every year we have to clean those condensers 2 or 3 times because of the cottonwood silt and dandelions and stuff like that. So we're doing a little preventative maintenance on our own to keep from having a service tech come out and work on them. Other than that, that's all we have.
Question for Greg. If you haven't seen this room back here, it's really nice.
Yeah.
You know, I hope when this all shakes out, maybe we can get it retrofitted for audio visual and maybe have our meetings back in that again.
Like the old days.
Like the old days, yeah. I kind of like
All
that.
things change.
Things change, they always change. but
Maybe more constant.
This room is a little more sacred or something. I don't know, it's better for this. But did you have a question for Greg?
Yes, I had, Greg, have they did anything to the back part of the building down on the west end? Garage part,
Garage part, no, they haven't done anything here.
still the same?
They did contact me, Food Pantry did, and they're going to have the Methodist Church going to take some of that rotted wood off of the front side of their entrance area and replace it with new wood and paint it, but I haven't seen anything done yet on it.
Are we still housing some of the county trucks in it?
Yes, a few, it's not a lot. They have a few that they have stationed there. Last I talked to Bill, he said that some of that stuff they don't use a lot, so they mainly keep the older equipment in there. And it's all like a dirt floor down back in there too. It's not concrete or anything, so it's not very good.
What's the roofing like in that back part?
It's like the rest of the building. It's someday it's going to start needing some tender loving care, whether you coat the roof and maybe throw a paint job on it. You know, the whole building. Something to consider. I mean, it's getting in a lot of disrepair.
Been that way for quite a few years. I'm wondering if we should be doing something about it.
Pantry is in there and then Dave keeps just, I think there's what, 2 trucks and a grader. And
Yeah,
in there.
not very much in there.
And just so he can get a jump start, he's got guys, if there's a snowstorm, he's got guys that live here in Dixon. Why go to Amboy to come back to the truck? Here they can go out there and start.
Right. That makes sense.
I don't know the way it's been talked about, and you'd have to ask Dave more. But they probably won't make any major improvements on that building. They'll either tear it down and build something new. Your family have a lumberyard there at one time? But it's been around a long time.
Yeah,
I mean,
never
Ron
been a
Brando.
lumber yard. I don't really ever remember it being a lumber yard.
Yeah. Any other questions for Dave? Dee,
I have nothing right now until
you'll go on through these with us. Kind of tell us what they are.
get to that.
I got a letter from Terry. I think it's like to say, I believe she's on vacation, or at least she's gone. And I'm just going to read it verbatim because it kind of reinforces what we did before. The inside kennels are all done, epoxy.
John, can you use your microphone?
The inside kennels are all done, epoxy and gates are on. They have to wait for 2 to 3 weeks before putting a dog in them to let the epoxy cure. The outside kennel pad is done and curing as of 6/26/2. Smaller pad by the parking lot is also done and curing as of 6/2. Prairie fence will be starting work on June 14th, which is the secondary fence around the open, I believe. Still need to purchase the guillotine doors and the outside kennel panels. And she would like to thank Dick and Chris in maintenance for all the work they've done, putting on the epoxy in the gates, and for asking my opinion on 2 coats along with covering a little more on the front of the kennels by the drain. Looks really nice. And she had some photos. She'd also like to thank Joel Nagy and his guys along with Prairie Fence, Ben and Adam Wolf with Sherwin-Williams, and very nice people to work with. And that's the letter just Terry sent me because she was going to be gone. So. And Greg.
Should have the report in front of you. I'll just hit some highlights. Operationally, during the past month or 6 weeks, you can see that we've been somewhat busy with just catching up on some, what I would say are gaps in our operation, developing an SDS binder for the chemicals that we're regularly using in the operation on site, whether it's in the main building or at the mechanical bay area of the operation. Some of the marketing stuff, we're doing a direct mail campaign, especially to older adults and other persons of interest for rides. The first piece actually went out, you might have seen it this past week. We're looking to wrap at least a couple of the buses just to increase the exposure of the system. Sally has been leading the charge in terms of doing timesheets within a component of QuickBooks, so we don't have to duplicate some of those efforts. Benefit time will also be tracked through that system. We're revitalizing, I would say, as opposed to implementing a preventative maintenance program for our physical buildings. Employee performance review program starting as of last week. You might have heard that Scott Brinkmeyer is now our operations manager. He's in his, I believe, 4th week. We have implemented an asset tagging program for the different equipment within our walls. And you might see that Sally and I are actually wearing ID badges as of this past week. It's mainly for drivers. It's always been a concern of mine that drivers, or riders, I should say, how do they know that they're actually getting on a bus that's appropriate for them to get onto, and unidentified drivers. So we've just rolled out identification badges for drivers, dispatchers, as well as admin staff. And we've also talked about whether the county would like us to actually add that to some other departments of potentially here within the county. And then 16 of our drivers within the system. So that means not only our lots, but also I think we had some from Lee County Council on Aging, went through all-day training in the topic areas. They're required to do this every 2 or 3 years. Focus areas were defensive driving, passenger assistance, and emergency preparedness. Because of the COVID restrictions, we're going to have to do another one of those, I believe, in July, because a lot of those drivers are up for that recertification. We did receive word from IDOT within the past week that they will be allocating another $744,612 in CARES relief for not only the local system, but also the Greyhound routes. That'll be tagged on to our current CARES contract, so we don't have to really touch that. And I think later on we have an update on the mass transit district discussion. And everybody will be happy to know that our punch list of final components of the canopy construction will hopefully be done this week, including the replacement of the scratched fascia. That was an unfortunate incident last fall, so they do have those pieces to replace that scratched area. And just in terms of the number of rides, not surprisingly, last week we were down. We had 696 rides, which is well above last year's totals, but we were down because of the holiday that was thrown into the mix. So I would imagine that we'll go back up to the 800s or 900s level for an average, which if you look at that chart that's attached, we've been averaging around the 800 or 900. Once we're fully back, we'll be back up to the 1,600, 1,500 rides per week. That's all I have to share.
Questions for Greg? getting into old business. The land and void upgrades for the new and old courthouse. Charlie, everything working okay over there?
Well, for me,
Big improvement.
Yeah.
Big improvement. You have any comments on it, other than
no, I mean, it's
big improvement?
been trucking along for a couple months now, so it's
Yeah.
been nice.
As far as you know, is everything being installed here according to plan?
I haven't heard any complaints, but a lot of the complaints go to IT now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, Paul was gonna be here, but I think he had something come up because he was gone right away this morning. I wanted to chat with him, but, so if anybody has any questions and want to stop in and talk for a while, Paul's on the way out. Carpet updates. Last month, we just had a big little update on Matt Klun's office. It's done by now.
Yes, Matt Klon's office is done. Also, we're still waiting for the vinyl tile for Wendy's entrance area there. I talked to Alan from Carpet Land today, and he's expecting it maybe in a couple of weeks. He says it's like pulling teeth to get any products anymore right now. So all we can do is sit and wait. Wendy says, well, she'd like to wait till tax stuff gets a little over with first too. So I'm hoping that by the time she gets ready for us to do it, that this stuff is here so they can install it.
The bids for the alarm system is still in process. I talked to Sheriff Symington this morning. We do have a bid somewhere. Card reader was being bid out at the same time for this building here. And the card reader bid, now you have to realize it's 3 doors and basically the entire building, because we never had any card reader system in any way in this building. And Sheriff would like to do that for security purposes. Final bid for everything complete comes to $18,662. And I'm going to refer that to finance. So I need a motion to send it on to finance. Dave, got a second. Bill, all in favor, say aye.
So, with the bidding process, how many people were contacted for the bidding? Sorry.
Probably just Engel Electric. They have done an excessive amount of workforce.
Sure.
We don't have to really bid anything out until it comes to $30,000.
Okay.
And for consistency purposes, we've trying to keep things so we call on the same vendor all the time, rather than have a he said, she said thing if something goes wrong. Was there more elaboration on that?
No, I'm just
Yes.
curious as to how it works.
Yeah, we have a $30,000 plateau on whether we have to send things out for bids. And sometimes we do send them out, just try to get the best price. But then we have a kind of a policy where we try to get the same vendor to do, like Physic down in LaSalle, been doing a lot of our internet and phone work. Syndio is doing a lot of phone work. That way, as I say, we can just call on one person. And we have a problem, grab them by the throat, and they aren't referring us to somebody else.
Sure.
So
There's also the Lee County purchasing ordinance that you'd be able to take a look at if you wanted some more information
Yeah,
on
I'd
it.
like to see that. That'd be great.
Mark,
Yes. Who's going to be obtaining the card system and what part of the building is going to be in?
well, the sheriff's customarily been in control of the cards.
Yeah, I know.
And so
I'm just
that
wondering where he's going to be putting them.
putting the card readers,
Yeah.
I would assume the south door and the 2 north doors.
So
That'd be the 3 doors. Be the 3 doors.
The middle door is always locked because we don't want people coming and going by that Lincoln statue.
so
Be one card reader on the north door, one on the
Oh.
south door, and one for the, where they keep the election equipment, which is also housing the server in the old courthouse. So those 3 doors.
I'm truly sorry, John. I've been intent on some other stuff. I didn't even look up.
No, you're fine. And then for Tom's question, I did use actually 2 vendors are integrated into that quote, Tom. We've used for the card reader system, we've used a company called Procom, and we've also used Engel for our buildings, they have collectively got together to put this quote together. So we actually are using both companies. They're integrating both the card reader system and the labor that are involved in that particular quote that you have. And I am also submitting that to the America Rescue Plan Committee. We're meeting this week, I think on Thursday afternoon, in hopes that this may fit that criteria as well, so we won't have to use county general funds. But we won't know until we meet and get a better feeling after Sarah takes a look at this to see if it'll fit the criteria or not.
Are you aware of what's happening there with the COVID American Rescue Committee?
Yeah.
And from the committee that will meet for the first time on Thursday.
Yeah. The 151-page report. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
You got nothing to do for the weekend.
Really
There you
good.
go.
Pretty good, that one, huh?
Okay. Any other questions on that part? Now, the old county tuck pointing project had a pre-construction meeting last Wednesday. I'm sorry. Pre-construction meeting last Wednesday. We have a new representative from Berglund who is going to be doing the work itself, Bill Zemek. And their tenant, we went over all the specifications and had some critiques on some of it. There's going to be some deducts. And then we had Zach Enderly, I believe his name is, from Tyson and Billy. And Dave Bowers was kind enough to sit in on the meeting because he was the one who was setting up the specs for this project. And really, pretty much the only thing that was changed is both the engineers from Berglund recommended that we do not seal the grout. And I totally agree with them. From restoration of old stone buildings, that you has to have that grout breathe and weep moisture back and forth, because otherwise it's going to find a spot to get out. It's part of the problem we have with the effervescence and other spots in this courthouse. It doesn't go out, it's going to come in. And so we're going to try to cure the outside and then work with the inside. And so they start the construction. They're going to have some mock-ups on 615, which what they'll do is there's a place in the front of the building, and Greg was here for the, I'm sorry, Greg, you were here for the meeting. We went around to the front, and there's several areas in the front that need a large amount of help.
Yeah, the
Greg, you can
part
probably-
that they're gonna do the mock-up tests on are, we chose the worst parts of the whole building. That's the worst stained area. I thought that would be the perfect spot for them to do their mock-up test to see how clean they can get it and what it's gonna look like for the rest of the building. So if they get that part of it cleaned and washed, I think, you know, they'll know how to go ahead with the rest. And they're gonna do 3 or 4 different mock-up spots and try different materials for cleanup. And then we'll sit back and meet with them again, and we'll choose the right cleaner that did the best job to proceed. They're gonna start the 15th of June, so everybody's gonna have to be aware there's gonna be a little disruption outside and a little noise, so it's gonna be till September, I think, before they're done. So everybody's gonna have to be a little patient.
Have a copy here of the timetable. They're going to go by. If anybody wants a copy of that, fine. Yep, I'll be glad to get it to you.
Can I get a copy of the actual contract as well, if you don't mind? That's a big deal to.
Becky, she can print it out.
Thank you.
This is it right here.
Yeah, yep.
So we'll get it in a binder for you if you want. A couple other minor items on the type of mortar they're going to work with is not going to be type N, which was originally specified by Tyson and Billy. And I don't remember the exact type of mortar they're going to go
No, they're
with.
gonna go with the N.
Are they going to go
They're
with
gonna
the N?
use the N.
Okay.
The first project manager that we met with the first time
Yeah.
had said that maybe we should take a sample test, and they have a special test they can run on the mortar that's there now. But he's no longer with that company, and so now we have a new project manager, that we met with last time, and he said that, no, he says, that's all they put on the buildings back that's dated to this dating is the N. So that's what they're gonna proceed to use. There'll be no testing on it. I guess sometime down the line, somebody had already patched the mortar joints and they didn't use the correct mortar when they did that. So they're pretty confident that it's gonna be the N behind the old mortar joints or the new mortar joint that had been put on previously. So then it should be matching what they're supposed to have.
And the only other change is there's caulking around the windows. They were going to use urethane, and instead they both thought silicone would be better. It's more flexible, has a little longer shelf life, and so they're going to use that. Now, bear in mind that this is in its infancy as far as the project goes. It's all delineated out, but those are there's only 3 minor changes in the entire thing. So, any questions?
What's the life expectancy of this at that point? What's the life?
Longer than I'm gonna live, Marvin.
Well,
No, I don't, he didn't really give us.
He didn't really say a lifetime expectancy of
Because
it,
you know,
no.
we did the county council on aging building, we done funded that when I was on that board.
Mhm.
Oh, we did ours here at the old courthouse about 15 years ago.
Yeah. And it was just not,
It was just
it wasn't
temp-
quite
yeah.
as good as it should have been.
When was it done?
about 15,
Yeah, it's longer than that.
20 years ago.
I vaguely remember
I was
that.
not, I don't know if I was on the county board.
I was on the board, but I vaguely remember. It's been a
Yeah.
long time.
And,
That's why I was wondering what the life expectancy of it.
So,
It's a maintenance issue that should be kept up with rather than wait till the big
Yeah.
project.
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, that's natural, most things.
Cost of the industry of the northern. So many bills.
So I will get anybody what they need. I mean, it's Becky's can print out extra project manuals. I mean, it is, like I say, it is substantial. So they're again, interesting reading if you're into that kind of thing. And so with that,
John,
yeah,
we had a first, Dave and Bill second on the card reader. We didn't have an all in favor. The bid, you said you
would
were
have
gonna
passed
send
it
it
to
to finance.
finance. Okay, I'm sorry. Have first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The one she keeps me on. She keeps everybody on.
Well, to be fair, Charlie told me.
Yeah. As far as Best goes, I talked yesterday with Joanne Johnson. Best, as I hope everybody realizes, maybe not Tom, but Best is an employment type agency, training situation. They occupy 2 offices right on the other side of that wall. And they are a 6-county operation, but they have an office here. And when we did the phone lines in this building, we put in drops above their offices.
I can't hear very well.
Put in drops, can you?
Yeah.
Put in drops above their offices so that we could do the retrofit later on if we needed to. Well, they've expressed interest in tapping into our phone lines, so we have to work that out. But Joanne Johnson is, I believe, their regional coordinator of things. And she is in touch with FISIC and if necessary, Symbio. So we'll get a time frame on when they'll be putting things in there.
John, who's assigned to that board now from the county board?
To Best,
Yeah.
I believe Marilyn Shippard is on
Marilyn.
Best board. Yeah. And then the same with the memorandum of understanding with the highway department. I talked to Paul briefly yesterday. He was gonna get me some things and then show up this morning and kind of explain those MOUs. Charlie got one from Greg, and I think if things work out, there's a little problem with the highway department because they have some Comcast coming in there. And it's not as easy as it sounds to get these together. So that's something that will be done by next month for sure. Okay, Dee, under new business.
Blessed day to all. I have to apologize to Becky. She works so hard on these agendas and I end up giving her so much information to squeeze in. The petitions coming to the zoning board next month are all map amendments. What are map amendments, you ask? It's the reclassification of a property to another district. So let me explain. 100 years ago, Lee County was considered all agricultural. The more the population grew, the towns and villages started becoming residential and different classification districts. Zoning came into play by designating other types of districts. Now there's our agricultural district, residential district, commercial districts for businesses, etc., and industrial districts, light, general, or heavy industrial. A map amendment is when the use of the property has been discontinued for a continuous period of 3 years. The Zoning Board of Appeals has the power to consider the reclassification of the property to another district. A perfect example is in 2018, there was a lottery in the state for the development of these community solar farms. Lee County approved 16 community solar farms, but there were only 2 that the state allowed to be developed in Lee County. These solar projects were considered special use, and now that these 14 parcels have not been used for the purpose of a community solar, these map amendments will take the special use away from the parcels and revert that land back to the original Ag 1 agricultural district. The next couple months, the zoning board will be hearing these map amendment petitions, mainly for the community solar projects that were never developed. And then Becky may go back to the one-page agendas again, hopefully. So coming to the Zoning Board of Appeals last Thursday, the ZBA heard petition 21P1564 for a special use to run a private club off of Inlet Road in Lee Center. There were a couple objectors to this petition, and the finding of fact were reported, and the committee voted not to recommend this petition. The second petition on their agenda was the text amendment to the original solar ordinance. If you recall, this is the amended ordinance that came before the county board last month, but needed to go through the public hearing process. The zoning board voted to approve recommending the amendments to the ordinance with no changes. This text amendment ordinance will come again before the county board this month to be held over for vote at the July board meeting. The Lee County Planning Commission is working on text amendments to the wind ordinance. This should be coming to the county board in July after a public hearing on these amendments. There was a resolution for the Shady Oaks Wind Financial Assurance that was voted on and passed last month, but unfortunately was not put into the packet, and the board members never got a chance to review this document. So the resolution will be in the packet this month for review. Lastly, last week I approved 22 building permits for turbines to be built for the Shady Oaks Wind Project near Paw Paw. The construction for this farm will be ongoing through the summer and fall, and Alice and I will be closely evaluating the progress of this project. I encourage everyone to drive by these construction sites and observe how these projects are erected. It's so very interesting. That's all I have right now, unless you have any questions for me.
Anybody have any questions for me?
I have been, surprisingly, I've been getting a steady stream of building permits for fences, pools, and new homes. Contractors that I've been speaking with are struggling with the increase of supply demand. So it is amazing to me that I'm still getting permits, but it's getting harder and harder to.
Bruce, terrible. I have a question for you, Dee. Might as well ask now rather than later. I had a friend this morning approach me. He's got 3 acres adjacent to his home, and he wants to cover it with solar panels, at least 2 of it, because he wants some perimeter around it. But what's the process in that? Does he have to have a special use permit on that 3 acres?
No, he'll just need a building permit.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Very nicely done.
John, I think it's your desk that I'm sitting at.
But it's nice. I mean, you did good. You had a lot they had to cover. So before you, and I think you got it in your minutes there, is that resolution for enforcement of conditions. And we passed it last month, as Dee said, but make sure you kind of catch up with it because we'll have to run it through again this month. Greg, I'm going to turn over this resolution to creation of mass transit district for you. I want you to know that I did talk to John Finfrock on Friday afternoon. He was going to get hold of Mr. Rock to work on the Ogle County end of it. So I'll leave the rest up to you.
I'll probably turn in to Charlie because Charlie's also been, wants to talk. Okay.
We're all, I mean, Charlie, this is above our pay grade here mainly.
I believe Brian was still waiting word back.
Yeah, I think you're in the same boat that we're in right now. We're waiting on Ogle County State's Attorney's Office to get back to us if there's any changes they're going to have on their side.
And that's, John was, I think, as surprised as Greg was the other day.
Yeah.
So just we'll wait that out. What's the time frame? Because I know that we were going to try to get it done by next year. So
Going back in time is allowed. Obviously, we're looking at May to begin with, but as soon as possible would be my preference. I guess theoretically, it could come before the Lee County Board. It still has to also be approved by the Ogle County Board, which could be following month, but
have you heard anything at all from Rock?
No, actually, he's kind of deferred it off to one of his assistant state's attorneys. So Brian from my office has been trying to communicate with them and hasn't heard back from him as of, I think it was yesterday, he sent you an email.
Yeah. We had that meeting a long time ago and I was kind of surprised at what's kind of transitioned here.
Yeah.
But it is kind of what it is and we'll take care of it. So. One of the things that's come up off and on for quite some time now is there is some excess furniture sitting around, just remodeling and new furniture purchases. There's some chairs and so on in the old administrator's office. There is still some stuff over in the jail. Am I correct? In the old jail? And
Yeah, there's a few things over in the old jail that we're probably gonna, now that somebody's in there, we have to make sure that we don't take their stuff. So we might end up having to get a hold of John and have him go over with us and see what he wants to save or what they want to get rid of. Be nice to get that building cleaned out as much as we can. And we do have all the election stuff over there yet. So we still have to keep that in the back of our minds. If something does happen to that building, where we're going to put all that stuff. So
it was talked about probably a year ago to dispose of this. And we cleaned up a potential conflict of interest because Tom Kitson's son runs an online auction service. And Charlie determined that there really is not a conflict there.
Correct. I don't think so. There was no fee being
Right.
charged. And there was no expectation of any type of benefit that was coming from it.
It was all just put on the back burner because we were using some of that furniture as a little, but now I think it's pretty well been picked through and we just.
yeah, it's slim pickings right now. But I'm glad we didn't get in a rush because some of the remodeling we've done around here, we were able to utilize a lot of the tables and chairs for different areas. So it saved us a little bit of money that way.
So what I'll do is follow up with Greg and the sheriff and Tom Kitson to get hold of Andy Kitson, who is his son who does this. And it's already pretty much been voted on. I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on what's going on. And we'll get it in an online, he's got an online auction service. He's an auctioneer by profession, but he's branched out into some of the more techie stuff and he does that. And I think
John, what about all the electronics that is old and just hanging around here?
Well,
You got a room full in
some of that's
there.
been taken care of, hasn't it, Greg? Some of the.
Paul's been real busy with the phones and stuff, so in updating some computers. But yeah, the pile that I have in our break room, he's gonna try to salvage some of that and restore it, and some of it that he doesn't want, he's got to make sure it's clean. So when we dispose of it, we don't have any problems.
A lot of it in there is TVs, VCRs, Nothing that I'm sure Paul's not even gonna look at. Why can't we just throw it in a trailer and take it down to the highway department to be recycled?
I think some of that stuff isn't ours though.
It's best and they haven't wanted it for years.
So, I mean, if we get their permission to dispose of it,
Best. Yes.
That room probably will be occupied again. So,
if we get their permission to dispose of it, the county is still taking the e-waste, so we can load it up and take it up there and dump it off, so. But we have, I think October is their deadline when they quit doing that, September, or October, something like that. So we have to do it fairly soon.
Even take,
Still taking the small electronic stuff also?
Yes, they're at the highway department in Amboy, they're taking it there.
I know at one time, I don't think we were taking the small.
Yeah, they weren't there for a while, but now they've got an outlet where they can get rid of it. So as long as that stays open so they can dispose of it themselves, then we can still get rid of it. But if they lose it, then we gotta stockpile it somewhere.
that's part of the problem is they can only get so much done there. Does everybody understand what's going on here? Anybody have any questions on any of it? Okay. Next thing is P, and that is the industrial appraisal project. Every 5 years, we get a company called Industrial Appraisal to come in and reappraise our buildings and our hard property of the county. It had been done on 5-year increments for as long as I've been on the board. It was due to be done last year, but COVID came along and they were pretty much shut down. I got a letter from a Jim Gregonagius, I think is how you pronounce his name, and I talked to him yesterday. Last year, there was an approval of $9,300 to do this appraisal, which we have to then transfer to our insurance company, CIRMA. And I guess the cost is still going to be $9,300. He didn't increase the cost of this appraisal, and you can start on it in August or September. And we probably need to get it done before the end of the fiscal year so we can resubmit it to CIRMA. But basically, I think unless somebody has some questions on what this is, or it was already approved and ratified probably about a year ago this time. But I'd like to have a motion just to get it on in the minutes that we approved it again.
This is basically to ensure per.
Correct, per value. And we do it every 5 years to keep up to date, knowledgeable what's going to cost. It's on the courthouse. Now it would be new jail, old courthouse. I don't know what we'll do with the old jail, but we'll figure that out at a later time. They'll probably give us a figure on that. Any county buildings and what's worth so we know what to insure, and contents too.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Marvin first. Is there a second?
Yes.
Okay, Bill second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Got a curious question. Would somebody actually have what the the valued of those buildings would have been the last time we had this done?
Sure. It's there. Do you know where it's at, Becky? We'll find it. It's there.
I'll find it. I'll
Yeah,
sniff it out.
it's in your office somewhere.
Oh, it's in my office.
Yeah,
somewhere.
D was there.
It was there back then.
Yeah, this is only 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 6 years ago.
I'll
So,
do some digging.
give or take about 6 years ago. So might be,
The only reason I asked John is annually we're required to actually do a valuation and base it off of something of our buildings. And I know that our current maintenance, the new maintenance building is not in that mix, but our Reagan Transit Center would be, I'm assuming. So I'm just curious of the valuation that they would have gone off of.
Have a copy of it, Greg?
It might be in my office somewhere.
I
I'll
don't know
have to
how
look.
long to dig before we
I
find
thought
out
I
it's
had
there.
I thought I had a file on it with a binder. I'll have to look and see.
All right, between you and I, we'll find.
help you if I can. I was, because 5 years ago, I would have been involved in that. Okay, then the last thing on the agenda is Best. Everybody knows who Best is. I think I just explained that. And every year we have to have a lease with them, per us, per them. And it's before you, it was sent out. I believe it's basically the same lease we've had for the last couple of times. I, for one, am not for increasing their rental agreement, only because they do provide a lot of good features. In fact, Tom?
John,
Yeah, he works for them. He's provided such a benefit for us. And right now, we're paying 25% of your wage, and they're paying 75% for the time being.
and he's full
He
time.
does a phenomenal job, yes. They've helped us out. They've saved us many times over what their lease is, folks. So I'd like a motion to approve that lease.
I'll make it.
Marvin, second. Dave, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And
Wait a second, was that Bill and Marvin?
what's that? Bill and Dave.
Bill and Dave.
No, Marvin and Dave, I'm sorry.
Marvin and-
Marvin and Dave.
And then,
Marvin made his per diem today. He got in and made a lot of motions.
I did talk through email with Joanne, and she said she was gonna send it to whoever's above her. So there may be some changes, but they'd have it by time county.
Okay. And there's no executive session that I know of. Need a motion to adjourn. Bill? Dave? All in favor? I think we're good.
Nate.
I want to stay here, Marvin.
I want to stay
Yeah.
out there. Maybe I can get another.
Marvin, that's the best money. That's the best money you ever made, Marvin. Don't kid yourself. Doggone it.
Let Marvin stay, that's all right.
No, I won't be.
Sit here for a couple